honored to introduce Dr. Joshua Coleman. Dr. Coleman has worked in education for over 20 years now as a traditional classroom teacher, a CTE program instructor. He obtained his doctorate from Xavier University in 2020 and went on to become the Education Program Specialist for the Education and Training CTE Pathways and the Educators Rising State Coordinator. So join me in welcoming Dr. Coleman.
Good morning, everybody. So here today we're going to talk a little bit about just understanding career tech education programming, and specifically what our ECE programs look like and ways that maybe you might be able to harness those and provide support. And we'll talk a little bit also about Educators Rising and how it can be a tool for you as well. So my contact information is up here if at any point you ever want to talk about CTE related stuff. Feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is up here. I believe it's probably going to be shared in something that Jude will send out later as well. So yeah, please feel free to reach out. I'm usually pretty quick to respond to emails and phone calls and things, so I try to have a quick turnaround for you. So we're going to start with just very briefly talking about what career tech education is, because I don't know about many of you, but I'm old enough that when I was in school, it was called vocational studies, right? And that was the place where if you weren't going to college, you went there, right? And some people got sent there just to get them out of the high school, right? Career tech has changed quite a bit since then, and the perception of it has changed a lot as well, and that's something we're continuing to push forward, is to help people understand exactly what goes on with career tech now, what opportunities and options there are for those students who are taking these kinds of programs. And it really comes down to three major components, with being very hands-on, preparing for career readiness, and industry connections. So particularly in our ECE field, or even the teaching professions one, because they're very closely aligned. What we're looking at specifically are giving them opportunities to actually see what it's like to work in that kind of field. So they're developing lesson plans. They're learning about curriculum and instruction and the science and pedagogy behind education and how we do things and why we do them, so that they know, as far as a junior in high school, they can start getting a sense of, is this career field for me or not? Then there's the career readiness piece. So not only do they get that experience and that content knowledge, they actually get work experience. They go out into the field and they go into classrooms and they get the opportunity to, basically kind of try it on, see what it actually feels like to be up there in front of the class and working with students. Then we get into our career connection pieces. So we also require our CTE programs to have what's called a Business and Industry Advisory Council. And those councils are there because they represent the communities that these programs are embedded in. And those community partners come in and basically help inform the CTE programs. What are they looking for those people they're going to hire to come into those roles? So you're able to kind of start training and growing your own educator pipeline by having those folks coming in and making those connections. And then they also get to know the students ahead of time. They get to know them as they're learning and growing, as they see them progress, as they get through their work-based learning opportunities. That's the other piece. Work-based learning is a newer measure that really just kind of officially took effect this year, where we're hoping for about 15% of all of our students to obtain at least 250 hours of work-based learning between grades 9 and 12. And when we say work-based learning, it's different from just that, it's job shadowing experience. It's not just going and seeing what it's like. It's actually doing the work. They're partnered with a mentor as well as their instructor, who provide constant feedback and evaluation for them. It can look very different depending on what the situation, the circumstance is, but it's their opportunity to get into the field, work with a business mentor, work with their instructor to get evaluations on how they're performing, and then also see how what they're learning in the classroom aligns to the work they'd actually do in the job. So that's kind of another huge piece here that's really been a major driving force in career tech education, and some of those things that make it very unique compared to standard classroom education opportunities and the vocational workforce type of preparation programs of the past. So specifically when we look at our teaching professions and early childhood education, with early childhood education, it's primarily focused on those who are looking for careers in early childhood, ranging from birth through 5, is going up to the pre-K. And then typically teaching professions focuses more on those looking to go into K to 12. Now, those lines often get blurred very much among the different school districts where they're located, sometimes even among the students and the people who are actually running the programs, because sometimes people think about early childhood as being basically 3rd grade and under, and they think those early elementaries are what people would consider early childhood. So when we start talking about this, and this is going to become very important here in a minute when we get to a little later in my presentation, as we start looking at how do we revamp and revise our early childhood education and teaching profession standards and our programs to reflect what actually needs to be happening for those students when they go into these fields or when they go into their teacher preparation programs and post-secondary, we want to make sure we're really thinking about how are we actually determining what this means in terms of early childhood education and teaching professions. The other type of program that exists out there also is what's called an industry credential only program. Basically, this is a way for students who maybe missed that on-ramp into their career tech opportunity, right? They're a senior now. They don't really have a graduation pathway. They don't really have someplace they know they're going to be going after graduation as far as employment. What do we do with them? The industry credential only option is a way for various career tech opportunities, but specifically for education and training. We look at developing a 12-point at least credential cluster in the education and training pathway that would allow that student to earn the credentials they need to walk right into a job placement when they graduate, and it gives them their graduation pathway opportunity. So this is not a standard type of program. It's not one that you want to just have in reserve. It's something you plan for intentionally, knowing that you're probably going to have some students that need that extra little boost at the end, or who are going to probably miss that on-ramp opportunity in junior year because maybe they didn't want to go to career tech, or maybe because they just didn't know which pathway they wanted to take, and now as a senior they're deciding and they're going to go that route. Typically, a lot of this winds up just being preparing the CDA, because that one is a full 12-point credential all on its own. But there are other ways to go about it too. The Parapro, which is going to be changing. I have heard that ETS is planning to change it to the Para Pathways. So currently Parapro is still the credential that you can earn. It's a 6-point credential. So you partner that with another set of 6-point credentials ranging from 1 all the way to 6, and develop your program that way. And so they come in as either going into a classroom in an ECE environment with their CDA ready to start teaching, or as a parapro going into a classroom and being a teaching assistant while they maybe work towards something else. Or maybe that's just the extent of their career options, and that's perfectly fine as well. That's basically the concept behind those industry credential only programs. So if, and the reason I want to kind of discuss this is, how many of you in here are ECE instructors? I know there are a few. Oh, wow. There's so many more than what you said there were. I'm sorry, CTE instructors specifically? Sorry, yeah. CTE, ECE, CTE instructors specifically. Okay, yeah. So those of you who are those instructors already, you kind of may know a little bit about what I'm about to talk about, but you may also not know all the ins and outs of some of these things. Could be enlightening for you as well. But for those of you who are not already CTE instructors, kind of getting an understanding of how these programs are built and ways that then maybe you can tap into and harness them to help grow your own pipeline of educators in your communities, for your colleges, for your programs and your buildings, and whatever options you might need for them. So first, and this was something I learned once I came to the department, because I didn't fully understand this either. But basically there are 3 different models of how CTE works. There's the JVSD model, which is what I was used to, where basically you have a group of different, what we call LEAs, Lead Education Associates, I believe, and they send their students who are interested in going to career tech to the JVSD. And sometimes the JVSD or the Career Tech Center also sends their CTE instructors out to, and that's where this one comes in, out to those specific buildings in what we call like a satellite program. And they stay housed at that building, but they're the career tech program still. So they still, are working with the JVSD, and that's still where all their stuff lies. That's the model I was mostly familiar with. Then there's also the contract or compact option, where a few schools come together and they decide to write up their own contract where they are going to support each other and provide different CTE options at different buildings. So this one over here may be housing cosmetology and engineering, and this one has ECE and teaching professions and construction, and this one has manufacturing and welding and auto mechanics, right? So the students who are interested in those programs then go to those schools to take their courses there. That's the contract compact option. And then there's the comprehensive, where basically the school district itself has everything, all academics, all other electives, everything going on, and has career tech embedded in it, and they serve as their own career technical planning district without having a JVSD partner or multiple other schools that they're compacted or contracted with. So there's a lot of ways you can start to develop career tech options in whatever setting you're looking for. Sorry, I just went through all of these, so I'm going to jump past all these items here. This map shows you a concentration of how many students are enrolled in taking career tech programs across the state. The darker you see, the more students who are taking CTE programming. So the super dark green here, which we see a lot down here in kind of the southeast side of Ohio, up here in the kind of central west region, we've got 90% plus enrolled in some sort of CTE programming. And then what's also kind of fascinating sometimes is to see these where there's zero, and we see quite a bit of a desert up here in the northeast side. Even down here in the southwest side in the Cincinnati area, there's still a lot of space where there's not a whole lot of CTE programming happening for a lot of students. So it's very interesting to just kind of look at it. I just found it fascinating. But as you look at this and you see where you are on the map here, think about what career tech opportunities are existing and maybe what opportunities are there to create for students. And particularly, again, as we focus on our ECE field and growing our educator pipeline.
Was that all career tech fields?
Yes. All type of CTE, not necessarily ECE specifically. Yes. Yeah. So the way that this is built, I don't know who edited my slides and made that look that way. I apologize. The way that the programs are built, there's a whole list of different course options that exist. You have to choose at least 4. You can choose more, but you have to choose at least 4 out of that list to build your program around. Now, once you get your application created and submitted and it gets approved, you can change up those 4 courses at any point that you want. That's also going to be important later when I talk about something else toward the end of this. So once you get it approved, you can change what 4 courses you're using based on what you feel the needs are, based on what your Business Industry Advisory Council tells you they want to see out of your students. You can choose your course options accordingly. They have to have a minimum of 450 seat hours, and you have to be able to provide at least 3 college credit hours. This is another way that CTE today is different from the vocational training of the past. It doesn't matter what program you're in, you have to be able to provide at least 3 college credit opportunities, or 3 college credit hour opportunities to your students. You can offer more, but you have to do at least 3 credit hours. This is where building that synergy between starting them in their junior and senior in high school, starting these CTE programs, earning some college credit, getting that under their belt, and saving them some money along the way, because now, 1, they've had a chance to try it out and know if they even want to invest in this as a pathway in college, and 2, they've gained some college credits already, so they're not having to spend as much time taking additional courses that they maybe did already take here, and it's able to transfer with them. Now, the way we do this is they can either be what we call CTAGs, which is Career Technical Assurance Guides. Those are embedded into all public in-state universities. The CTAGs are equivalencies to certain, and actually somebody else will be talking about this who's much more knowledgeable about it than me momentarily, but those are equivalent to certain courses at those universities. So when the students complete those courses in their CTE program, they can then have those credits show up on their transcript as though they've already taken those courses. The other way you can do it is College Credit Plus, by working with universities and building that kind of relationship and starting a course there that allows them to get whatever college credit for whatever course you decide you're going to offer that way, or through bilateral agreements. Some people still use a lot of these apart from CCP because they really enjoy the bilateral agreements they already had in place prior to CCP, and in some cases maybe even get more credit hour opportunities than what they would with CCP options. You have to offer 12 points of industry recognized credentials. We're working on building these, and I'm going to show you here in just a minute what some of our new industry recognized credentials are in the career tech field for ECE, because we've got some new ones that got added for this school year. And I'm very excited because these ones feel much more ECE and education related than what previous options did that felt like they were just general workforce type of credentials and not really valuable to the pathway that they're trying to go into. They have to have an integrated academic, so some sort of academic course that is partnered with the CTE program in a way that helps support and enhances the content, ideally, supports and enhances the content they would be getting with their CTE program. Now, sometimes, yes, they just throw in something just to say, yeah, we're integrating this academic. Biology totally fits in with early childhood education as a supportive integrated academic. Maybe you can make the case for it because maybe you learn about biology and life force development and or life cycle development and how they would progress. But sometimes people put a lot more thought into it than others. But that's the idea behind the integrated academics, and it's best practice, like we said, to find those groups that they can really partner and enhance each other and perform well. And then you have to offer web exam assessments, which determine your technical skill attainment for each of the courses that you take. Those also determine whether or not you earn the C tags for any of the courses that have an aligned college credit to them. So that's kind of the model. So if you're thinking, as we talk about some of this, about this would be great if I get something like this going locally that could help enhance and get students in to help us recruit for our college credit or college courses and our teacher prep programs there, or to get students that can come in and serve as workforce in your early childhood care programs. That's kind of the basics and how they're developed now and what they wind up looking like. So the curriculum is not assigned by the state. We can't dictate what curriculum is. We can't tell you have to use these textbooks and teach these lessons this way, use these activities. That's not something we can provide. But and something I'm working towards this October, actually, we're working to provide opportunities for different instructors to come together and help build curriculum with each other to share across their programs so that not everybody's having to lift it all on their own. We're finally getting to that in the education and training pathway with starting this October when I bring some teachers together to get that opportunity to network and start building and helping each other out. But we do have set CTE standards. They're currently going through revision. We're going to talk about that momentarily as well. And we're going to be looking at how we can build some new course options and make sure we're meeting industry and post-secondary expectations of entry-level employees or first-year college students, so that when those students come in, they're at the same level as those folks that you would expect to have in those positions. We're also hoping to add some additional CTAG opportunities, because right now they're a little sparse, and I've heard from folks that the ones that are available aren't necessarily as valued as some other opportunities that could exist out there. So we'll be looking at that as well during the revision process. We talked about the work-based learning opportunity. That's the other measure that we look at, is how are they getting that field experience? Are they getting out into the field and getting hands-on with the career field to understand what they're expected to do? And then they're also required to have access and support for a CTSO, which is a Career Technical Student Organization. In the education and training pathway, there are 2 Ohio-approved CTSOs, FCCLA and Educators Rising. I'm the Educators Rising State Coordinator, but in the past there's been sometimes been some friction between FCCLA and Ed Rising. Christy Jackson, who is the FCCLA advisor, and I have been working to really make sure that we are smoothing all that out and that everybody can play in the same sandbox together, to the point that even, you can do both. You don't have to pick. And I'll explain why when I get to talking about Ed Rising in a moment, why that might be beneficial to you. So talk a little bit about college credit and industry recognized credentials now. So talk about ways you can earn college credit. They have to be able to provide at least 3 credit hours. That way, like I said, you can use it through C-tags, CCP, bilateral agreements are another way that you can offer these opportunities. And again, you can offer more than that. We've seen some students walk out with almost everything they need to have their program complete, and they only have just a few more courses to wrap up once they're finished with their CTE program, if they build in enough opportunities for them. Again, because some of them are also starting as early as freshman year as well, and working up through seniors, not just junior, senior. There's a lot that are starting to expand that opportunity for them. So the ones we currently have that exist are early childhood education principles. That's the course that's the CTE course. The equivalency is the Introduction to Early Childhood Education. The Health, Safety, and Nutrition CTE course is equivalent to the Health, Safety, and Nutrition college course. And then Infant and Toddler Education is the equivalent to Infant and Toddler Curriculum course. And then on the teaching profession side, we just have Education Principles course, which is equivalent to an Intro to Education credit in college. And again, we're looking to either expand, replace, maybe swap, or add additional opportunities as we get through the standards revision over the next year or so. Industry recognized credentials, again, they have to provide at least 12 points of industry recognized credentials, because that is the graduation pathway requirement. So if a student is wanting to use this as their ticket to their diploma, we have to offer at least 12. Some offer more than that, but 12 is the magic number that gets them over that finish line. It also not only provides them with additional kind of focused training, it helps make them more employable. That's the real idea behind the industry recognized credential, is that they should have, if you're using it as an industry recognized credential point, it should have value in the places where they're going to go and interview. Having, I think a driver's license is one of the options that you can use for 1 point of industry recognized credential. And yeah, it's beneficial, but not a requirement necessarily, or likely to help them land a job as, say, like their parapro certification. That's going to be much more valuable to somebody who's looking to hire somebody on, because that's an essential piece if you're going to employ them as a parapro. So think about, when you are looking at these, we want to make sure we're finding ones that are enhancing their ability to enter that workforce and career field. The point values vary from career field to career field. So several of them overlap and appear in different career fields, but their point values will be different because each industry values it differently. So if you think that the parapro should be more than 6 points worth of credential, there's a way you can go in and fill out a form and say, I think we should revise this and increase the point value on it. So if you see any of those that you find a lot of value in, and you feel like the point value is not there, but your business and industry advisory councils have said, hey, we really want to see students with this, go take a look at that form, see about submitting a request to increase the value of it. We'll get our panel together, and they will determine what the value of that particular credential is, and potentially, you can get it increased, or as you introduce new ones, make sure you're really talking to some folks in the field that might be called in for that panel to have them, really speak up on why that's an important one to add and how many points it should be worth. So our new ones for this year, we have Google Certified Educator Level 1 and 2. Those are 2 new credentials, each of them worth 3 points. The Ohio Promise Professional Early Childhood Inclusion Credential Level 1, that very entry one, that is now one that they can earn going into the field, another 3-point credential. We added the Qualified Behavioral Health Specialist, which is 3 points, and the Registered Behavior Technician, which is 3 points, and the Science of Reading Literacy piece is a 1-point credential, because again, it's one that pretty much everybody's expected to have now, so it's not necessarily one that is going to provide a lot of value from an employer standpoint. Just because you've already got it, we're going to be offering it later in the year anyway. So, great, but it's not a super huge benefit necessarily. So that's kind of the idea behind the points and how they work. But those are all new for the 25-26 school year. The window closes, I believe, for next school year on October 30th. So if you want to add anything as far as a new credential that you want to see students be able to obtain through their CTE programs, that window closes October 30th if you want it to account for the 26-27 school year. Otherwise, it'll have to wait until the 27-28 school year. So I'll talk a little bit about CTSOs now. The career technical student organizations are really valuable in terms of providing opportunities where maybe a student can't get out into the field for work-based learning to really get a hands-on feel for what it's like to do the work. CTSOs are a great way for them to still kind of get that sense and practice things. By competing in different events, they get a sense of what it is to actually do these different activities and get up and talk about it and share and reflect on their experiences. They're great for career development, getting them those opportunities to get out and try it, as well as connect with industry experts, because they'll have to get out into classrooms and do some interviewing and things like that. And so that also provides that opportunity to network and get to know people in the field. So when they start looking for a job later, they've got that person they can reach out to and say, hey, I saw this position. What can you tell me about it? What can I look for to try to get in well? That kind of thing. There are two, like I said, Educators Rising and FCCLA. I can talk quite a bit about Educators Rising. I can talk a little bit about FCCLA if you really want to know more about the FCCLA opportunities or are interested in that as your CTSO or getting to know them, even if you're not interested in starting it as a CTSO, but you just want to be involved more, and FCCLA sounds like one you would like to get to know more and work with. Talk to Christy Jackson. She's Christine Jackson is the state advisor for FCCLA. Reach out to her. She'd be glad to tell you more about it and how you can get involved to help support the program. With Ed Rising, it's a little unique in a lot of ways. How many of you have ever heard of Ed Rising before today? Okay, how many of you have ever heard of Future Educators Association? I see a few more hands there. They're the same thing, believe it or not. Starting back in like 1937, 1936 was when it was first started as Future Teachers of America originally, then Future Educators of America, Future Educators Association, and then in 2016 it became Educators Rising as it exists now. And so it's one of the oldest CTSOs that's existed, but it's also one of the smallest. But the reason it's so small is because it's hyper-focused on education and training. Unlike skills where there's a lot of different pathways that could possibly be a part of it, FCCLA, there's a lot of different ways you can incorporate family and consumer sciences, hospitality and tourism, culinary, all those different things can be part of FCCLA. Ed Rising is just education professions. It's just that. There's not a lot of other pathways that can really tap into this. So that's why we're one of the smallest that exists, but we're also one of the oldest founding CTSOs in the country. And it is really, again, that opportunity for those students who are interested in exploring education as a career opportunity to start diving into it. And the other unique thing about Ed Rising is that you do not have to have a CTE program to have an Educators Rising chapter. You can start what's called an associate chapter, which is not tied to CTE. You can host it during school, after school, on the weekends, whatever. Any student who's interested in being a part of Ed Rising, exploring it as a career path, if you don't have education, training, CTE programming in your area, you can start an Ed Rising chapter and start getting those students who are interested to come in and explore the profession. And if you find you got enough, then maybe apply for a CTE program and get it going that way, and then you can fund it through federal funds like Perkins and things like that, in addition to just running it as its own separate kind of a non-attached program. Oh, sorry, one other thing I want to talk about with these. If you're interested in these CTSOs and you want to actually work with some of these students and get to know more about them and how they work and what they're able to do, reach out to me or Christina, and we're always looking for people to serve as judges for competitions. Looking for folks who want to come in and offer breakout sessions at the conferences and share and talk about lots of things. We cover things all the way from like teaching strategies, different pedagogy pieces, understanding child development, all the way up to just here's what college is like. Here's how you apply for financial aid. This is the kind of things you can expect when you get here. We've had tons of different presentations that are focused on these kids and how they are, preparing to go into their next, phase after they finish their programs. So we're in the middle of standards revisions, as I mentioned. We finished up public comment survey. We're currently working on industry panels, which some of you in here are on the industry panels. I recognize faces from the little boxes around your heads. So those of you who are part of those, thank you so much for being a part of it. We're not progressing as fast as I originally anticipated, but that's actually a good thing because everybody's having great conversations, providing very invaluable feedback. These standards have not been updated in about 10 years. Education, I don't know if you guys have heard, education's changed a lot in 10 years. And the way we originally thought we were going to be preparing students to go into that workforce is not quite the same way that the standards should be doing now. So there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to talk about. And what I also have loved about these are people are having those conversations. And rather than trying to just push through so we can meet a deadline, we're letting those conversations happen, but we're trying to also be efficient. So this timeline is going to look a little different, I can tell you that. But the coming up later in the fall, probably closer to November, maybe even pushing into December, we're going to be starting the teacher panels. So that would be for our instructors to start taking the feedback from our post-secondary and industry partners and actually rewriting the standards and figuring out how we're going to make this read in such a way that it's going to be applicable to the careers they're going into, and hopefully a little future-proof in terms of if there are major changes and things, they're not out of date in 2 to 3 years. So and then we've also we'll have the draft. We're expected to have it done probably late winter of 26 at this point would be my guess, kind of toward the end of January into February. Then we'll be getting into course development. That's another place where we'll be needing teachers. Maybe even some post-secondary folk might be able to come, especially since we want to make some of these courses align to CTAG opportunities and help students earn college credit. We'll be needing folks to come in and help us figure out what standards need to go into these courses. How do we build them so that they're going to actually help propel them into whatever comes next, whether that's workforce or first, or really almost in a way, second year of college for them. Then we get into our CTAGs. ODHE is working on this part for us, so they're going to have some folks that are contracted to come in, work on the CTAGs and the alignment, and figure out how, what are those must-have items on the standards that have to be in there in order for the students to earn college credit. We'll post a draft of the courses in spring going into summer of 26, so that, and we'll start item writing in the fall of 26, and then, sorry, it's not up there, but we're expecting these to be launched and ready for piloting in the 27-28 school year with all the new courses and new CTAG opportunities. That's pretty much all I had at this point. If any of you are interested in kind of keeping tabs on what's going on with CTE education and training, this is a link to sign up for our newsletter. If you want to sign it, I sent it out. In fact, I'm a little behind. It's actually going to go out on Monday because I wound up coming out here today instead of getting that pushed out. And so I apologize that it's not out yet. But it'll be coming out on Monday for the September edition. But we cover everything education and training related that might be of use and benefit to our CTE programs as they get ready to go into the workforce. Any questions? Yeah.
Well, I'm super glad about the credentials in that updated list. Is Parapro going to fall on that? Last year I had students who passed that and actually worked in 3 school districts. Yeah,
so what I just found out, what was it? I guess it was just at the end of August. I found out, I didn't get to this part yet. Through Educators Rising, there's an opportunity for you to work with the ETS and Parapro where you can get a reduced rate for your students to take the Parapro assessment. and you can get yourself cleared and your classroom or your school as a testing site, and you as a facilitator to offer the Parapro. And you can do it right in your classroom. You don't have to worry about trying to schedule a facility or schedule an assessor to come in. In fact, you can even kind of turn it around and invite people in and have them pay you to come take the assessment at your location. That, though, is very, very limited time right now because the Parapro is going to be going away and they're replacing it with the Para Pathways, I believe is what they call it now. That's going to be a new assessment. So that means, yes, Parapro will go away and we will have to resubmit for a new credential opportunity through the Para Pathways if we want that one as an option. So if that's something you want to see, keep an eye on when that changes, get that application in so we can get it added into our industry recognized credentials for education and training when they switch over. Yeah.
I'm working with a local CTE, and we're talking about a bilateral for Educators Rising. They're new.
Oh, awesome.
educators. But might that be something that's better looked at from a CTAG lens, since we're wanting to do some new CTAGs across the state?
It could be. I mean, there's nothing to stop you from doing the bilateral agreement and then a CTAG winds up coming up that also does the same thing, and you can either keep the bilateral agreement or you can bypass it and let CTAG do the work.
Okay.
You had mentioned the points that are assigned to those credentials. Is there, that's just for students graduating, correct? Those are graduation points, points towards graduation, not career pathways points, correct?
They're both. They do count as career pathway points depending on which ones you're selecting and whether or not they are approved through that particular pathway.
But with the points leaving with the new model, the points are leaving in the new model,
Correct.
so how will
It
that?
will be more of a level indicator versus a point value in career pathway.
Okay,
Yes.
and will those credentials also be available to educators not in CTE as pathways for those levels? Or is that
That's
just
what
for CTE?
These points are just based on the CTE program and the value that the CTE program offers. So whether or not, so I guess I should say, they can earn pathway points through earning those credentials. I don't know that the point equivalency will be the same. It's just that some of the ones that you can earn through CTE would be the same as ones you could earn that way as well, I believe. But I do not know what the equivalency would be for that.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Dr. Coleman?
Yes.
Do you have a list of your current Educator Rising chapters?
Working on that. We're still in the process. Registration closes November 1st, and then I'll be able to see who all I have. Which also, so if any of you are wanting to get in touch with your Ed Rising local chapters and form some sort of partnership with them, reach out to me. I can't give you direct contact information, but I can tell you what districts have what chapter, and you can reach out to the district and figure out who you need to talk to at that point. Thank you.
Wonderful. So definitely, if you're keeping your to-do list, we have PD specialists from this morning, and then getting involved with your CSTO, right?
Yep. CTSO,
CTSO.
SECLA, Ed Rising.
Yes.
Good
Media
working with your
judge at
CTE
competitions,
folks.
So, folks are keeping track of that. Just want to make sure you got them marked down. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Ed Rising Conference is March 3rd and 4th at Capital University. So mark your calendars. I would love to have some of you out for judging and things. Absolutely.
Fantastic. A round of applause for that.
Thank you.